Today, we're not talking about a new game. Today, we're talking about Phantom Doctrine, a game that came out in 2018 and really flew under the radar, I feel, for a lot of people.
For pulling me off that RAF gig.
Absolutely.
The short and sweet of it is that Phantom Doctrine is an awesome game, and it is worth adding to your library. There are some annoying components like spawning into a map, becoming instantly hostile, and having to brute force your way through endless waves of enemies trying to complete your objective. But besides that, some low poly models, the game is solid and worth checking out if you are a fan of tactical RPGs and spy games. If you're still kind of on the fence about it, wait for a sale before picking it up. Steam has it on sale every once in a while. Gameplay in Phantom Doctrine is very similar to XCOM. And if you haven't played XCOM, then you should probably look at checking that game out as well. The story is, well, it's alright. A really bad summary of it is that you lead a squad during an alternate Cold War era where espionage and brainwashing watching is on the rise. While on a mission, you discover and try to stop an organization which seeks to cripple all intelligence agencies and basically send everyone back to the Stone Age. As you progress through the story, your game will be full of lots of twists, turns, and betrayal. You know, spy things. The gameplay itself is pretty basic. There are a few interesting components when it comes to leveling and upgrading your team, but besides that, it's your standard tactical RPG. Agents do level up once they gain enough experience, and this unlocks additional traits and trainings which can do things like unlock certain weapon proficiencies or certain traits such as they can't be stunned or that they can move faster. Now, even though your agents do level up, they don't actually get stat increases. This is all done through the body engineering facility where you inject them full of chems. Chems are really interesting as they're unlocked as you progress through and do different researches, but also you can't just inject one agent with all of them. Some block certain ones require other ones as a prerequisite, and then not all of them actually give a positive boost. Some are negative, so you have to balance this in a very unique way to get the optimal result out of your agents. Now, this is a really interesting approach, but I still feel like you should gain some sort of small stat increase because after all, the agents are actually doing something and they are actually gaining experience. But I digress, I'm veering off. Let's talk about more of the gameplay. Gameplay takes place in three major interfaces. You have your base, your tactical map, and your mission map. First, let's talk about your base. Your base is, well, it's your base. It's your home. At your base, you have various facilities which you can unlock. You can produce different items. You can also work on doing researches from hidden files that you found while you're out on the level or from contacts. More facilities unlock as you progress through the story and hit certain checkpoints, so to unlock all of them, you do need to actually progress through the story a bit. You will occasionally also need to relocate your base when it becomes compromised, which is indicated by a danger meter up in the top right corner of your screen. If the danger meter does fill up, there is a chance that you can get raided and some of your team kidnapped. A really annoying part about this feature is that you can't actually do anything to prevent this. Once the danger meter fills up to a certain extent, you can literally just move. You can't fight against anybody that's coming to steal your agents, you can't plan anything out. It's literally, hey, they found where you're at, now you need to move and you're getting run off the block. Really annoying and quite a missed opportunity, honestly. From your base, you have access to the tactical map, which is a fancy map of the world. There are various cities and locations that you're able to send your agents to, either for vacation or in response to suspicious activity that pops up at that location. And I'm kidding about the vacation. Your agents aren't union. They get no vacations. Once your agent arrives at the suspicious activity location, it can change into one of a few things. It can turn into actually a friendly intel drop, it could be an enemy operation, or it could just be nothing. Yes, absolutely nothing. Now, if it does turn out to be enemy activity, depending on how long before the operation is complete, as well as your workshop unlocks, you get a variety of options on how to handle the situation. These include preventing it from happening altogether, which is, kind of boring and just says, I don't want to deal with this right now. You can trail enemies back to their base, which opens a new location where you can go and beat the snot out of them at their own house, or you can perform a tactical recon or an assault, which are essentially the same thing, but they're not. They're just tied together. Tactical recon scopes out the place and lets you enter in with disguises as well as tactical support, whereas an assault is just a head-on assault against an enemy location. Now, regardless of if you do a recon first or not, an assault does take us to the final type of interface, which is the mission map. This is where all the tactical RPG gameplay takes place, as you move your agents around a map in a checkerboard-style grid, trying to complete a specific objective while taking out enemies and finding their hidden intel scattered across the map. Now, the maps look good and they play well, except for one very, very annoying feature. And I say feature because this is put in by the developers with no other goal except to annoy the ever-living snot out of everybody. And that is that there's a small chance that once you choose your squad and you start to load the stage, that the enemy will either know that you're there and they'll become hostile a few turns in with no sort of countdown or knowledge to you as to when that will happen, or they will spawn some of your disguised agents directly in front of enemy agents and troops. Fantastic. Now, why is this so bad, you might ask? Well, usually when someone goes in disguise, they're spawned a good distance away from the rest of your team. On top of that, they're only allowed to take in either a submachine gun or a handgun class weapon, so they don't really have much firepower or survivability. No health packs, no grenades, just a pistol. So when the map loads, it can be a real pain to try and keep all your agents alive and also complete your objective at the same time. Now, there is an easy solution for getting around this, which is simply to reload the game to right before the mission starts, so you just need to make sure you save the game before every map loads. Unless you're playing Iron Man. Then you can just cry. A lot. Now, as you complete these missions and progress through the story, your aim is to save the day and be the unseen hero of the world. Now, something I realized when I was playing that I'd like to point out is that every single level, it is either raining or it just finished raining. Because there's just giant puddles of water visible and you can hear the rain hitting the roofs. So apparently every secret mission only happens on rainy days. The water hitting the outside of the buildings as well as the ambiance music in each level is actually very well done and quite soothing. Tire screeches from your getaway van pulling up in a hurry is fantastic, as well as the sound of you karate chopping the poor civilian standing in front of the fridge looking for their lunch. Crisp. I don't really have any negatives about the way the sound is in this game, but something I feel should be praised is how each agent's accent changes depending on their starting country of origin. Now, if these accents are accurate or not to the locals, I have no idea, but it's a nice small detail if they actually are. And I think it's a nice attempt at not being generic voices, even if they are wrong. Besides just sounding pretty good, this game also actually looks pretty good for being a game for 2018. Vehicles, buildings, and furniture, even the shrubs and trees look pretty top-notch. Nothing game-changing, but they're not ugly. Characters, on the other hand, look like they're from the mid-PlayStation 2 era, on a budget. I'm honestly not too sure what happened with these things. But don't let the funky faces take away from the awesome action scenes of your minivan Tokyo drifting into a parking spot to pick you up from a hard day of secret agenting. And with that butchering of the English language, I would like to bring this video to an end. I hope it's been helpful for you. I would like to thank you very much for sticking around to this part of the video. I highly recommend checking out Phantom Doctrine if you're a fan of tactical RPGs. It's solid and worth looking into. If you're still unsure, wait for a sale. Steam has it discounted a few times a year. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel. It would mean a lot. Till next time, stay safe. Take care of yourselves. Peace!